Scholars, and welcome to Thursday. I am so glad I got to see all your faces on Zoom this morning, and now we are ready to get started with our lessons. So today, this is your first video, and this is reading. Today is going to be our last day where we are focusing on our reading strategy for the week. So remember, this whole week I've been asking you this question. What do good readers do? What do you remember about what do good readers do? What do they do? Let me hear it. Good readers, what do? They work to understand what they read. They work. It is something they have to do again and again. It's not easy. Something they have to work at. And they're working to understand, to be able to tell you about what happened when they were reading. So this is always our goal every single time. And how have we been working on that this week? We have been working on that goal to understand what we read by working towards this. Let's read it one last time. It says, I can use the strategy, a tool, read, stop, and think to understand our goal, what I read. So of course you know by now, we are using our read, stop, and think strategy. It's chunking up a story into smaller parts so we can check ourselves that we are understanding as we read, not just at the end of the story. So let's bring back our visuals real quick. You're going to, of course, first read a little bit of the story. That's where we always start. Once you've read a little bit and you feel like you found a good place, you are going to pause. This pause gives us our time to think about what we just read. This is going to give us the opportunity to make sure, did I understand what I just read? Because if so, and only then can I move on. This strategy makes sure that when we get to the end of the book, we understood everything and we understood what we read. So, these past couple days, I've been helping you through this strategy by giving you prompting questions. Today, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to read a brand new book, but I am only going to pause. I'm not going to say any questions or give you any clues about what to use your time to think about. I'm just going to pause the story where I feel like it's a good spot, and you are going to have time to think completely on your own with your conversation buddy about what just happened in the story and important parts you want to remember. So this is our last level. You are going to be completely on your own to talk with your conversation buddy whenever we pause the story. So make sure you have your conversation buddy and you're ready to stop the video throughout so you can have a conversation with them to think about what we just read. So today, to end our week in this reading strategy, we are reading this book called Sofia Valdez, Future Prez. I absolutely love this book. I think Sofia is a boss. I think she is an amazing person who we could call a super scholar. And I'm so awesome for you guys to learn a little bit about her. So we're going to be reading Sofia Valdez, Future Prez today. It's a little bit of a longer story, but it's super entertaining and really fun. So make sure you have your conversation buddy and we will go over to the library. Okay, I am here ready in the library with our last book for the week, which is Sofia Valdez, Future Prez. And I have Mr. Mo with me, and he is ready to have some conversations when we are going to pause the video. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our story. Let me open it up. Okay, here we go. Sofia was a baby who got things done. helping her family before she turned 1. She and Abuelo went out every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek who couldn't get out and about on their own, with no place to gather, were stuck home alone. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk, Sophia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends and her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people like good, but Sophia liked better. Okay, I'm gonna choose a place to pause. So, it's your turn. Finger on your brain. Don't bother me, I'm thinking. So it's your turn to pause the video. Talk to your conversation buddy. What did we just read? Okay, go. Awesome, you're back. You spent some time thinking, and now we're going to read again. Each morning, we gotta flip it. Each morning, Abuelo walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, munching cookies, Abuelo and girl, except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel. With a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sophie scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing Pup. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill, made of leftover junk for the local landfill. They reached the tip top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. The next day, Sophia walked to school solo, but it wasn't the same without her Abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sophia. She glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. Okay, a lot just happened, so we're gonna stop real quick. You're gonna spend some time thinking. Finger on your brain. Don't bother me, I'm thinking. Okay, use that time. Tell your conversation buddy what just happened in the story. Okay, we are done with think time and ready to read again. Here we go. The very next morning at 5:30 dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore, let's build a new park. Each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by 1/4 till dark. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed, then bam! She woke up when a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, "Let me know when it's done." They all thought Sophia could build it alone, but how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache
as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. Then dawn brought a storm and the gloomy sky wept, and the heartsick Sophia finally slept. Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bagful and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sophia. For courage, he whispered, Te amo mi vida. Sophia's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried. Though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sophia Valdez went to face City Hall. Okay, we're gonna pause there real quick. Stop. It's another time to check yourself with your conversation buddy. So finger on my brain. Don't bother me. I'm thinking. Okay, tell your conversation buddy what just happened. Go. Okay, we're back. We checked ourselves and we're ready to read again. Here we go. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the Office of Duck Ponds and Cool Things to Do, to the Office of Monkeys, to the Department of Cheese, the Division of Fountains and Meetings and Bees, then down to the basement, so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's where the clerk said what no one else did. You can't build a new park. You're only a kid. The words smacked Sophia deep down in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. I think, said Sophia, I think the law's wrong. But her second grade voice didn't sound very strong. The clerk said, clearly it cannot be done. Do you have any questions? Sophia said, one. If you were me and if I was you and you was your grandpa and he was your grandpa, what would you do? Well, said the clerk. Then she said nothing at all. She thought and she thought. Then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sophie speak. But her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sophia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of the old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do. Though her heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2. Okay, we're gonna pause right there. So what just happened in the story? I'm gonna take a breather. So let's see. Finger on your brain. Don't bother me. I'm thinking. Tell your conversation buddy what just happened to Sophia. Go. Okay, we're back and we are ready to read the last part of our story. We checked ourselves a couple times, so let's finish this book. Here we go. She took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye. As though her knees wobbled, she held her head high. Sophia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine two and... cried the mayor. "Go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission." And so young Sophia got right to work with some help from her family and pup and the clerk. Then others joined in, not all, but a few, like Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. There were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure, then bulldozers, cranes, and a blue, bigger digger. They all built that park. That's how it got done, with the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sophia Valdez could grow up to be president. Until then, Sophia, that real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. That's the end. So now I want you to take the time. Tell your conversation buddy the whole story. I want you to practice telling your conversation buddy the whole story before you take the video for me. I want you to think about what happened at the beginning of the book, what happened in the middle of the book, and then what happened at the end. Start at the beginning, talk through what was happening in the middle, and then tell me how the story ended. So you got to hit 3 parts of the story, from start to finish. So get your conversation buddy out. Make sure to practice with them before you record the video. Practice always helps you with the words you're trying to say. Okay, for one last time, finger on my brain. Don't bother me. I'm thinking. Okay, go get to work.